in the theater and in the cinema, the key is never to show black passion.
Welcome to the Dark Times channel. And so, as many of you already know, the remake to Disney's The Little Mermaid is set to come out May 26. And there's a lot of people who feel a certain way about it. On one hand, you have a demographic of people, black girls in particular, that are excited.
Why can't we see your face?
They're about to show it. Keep watching.
Oh, she's black! Oh my god! Yes, 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 yes! Oh my god!
I know, right?
They're excited because they get to see themselves on screen. That's always a good thing when you can see a positive example of yourself on screen. I always say people are only as good as their model. But then on the other hand, we have a segment within the dominant society that are outraged that they had the audacity to change Ariel, who in the original The Little Mermaid was a Caucasian redheaded character.
I will never forget when they showed Ariel on there and everything, and once the trailer ended, he looked at me very disappointed and he goes, "But where's the real one?"
And so, like I said in the beginning, people feel very strongly about it one way or another, and they have a right to feel very strongly about it, because what our children are watching and what our children have access to as far as viewing goes is the most important thing there is. I'll say it again, because I don't say that lightly. What our children are watching and what our children have access to watch is the most important thing that there is. And people within the dominant society definitely understand this. They even went so far as to change Ariel into a so-called white woman through artificial intelligence. They've come up with the way already. Movie hasn't even come out yet. They've already come up with a way that when the movie comes out, they got a way to alter it. So when they show it to their kids, she's gonna be white. And so they understand the power of image more than we do. And they value it more than we do. I remember growing up and all the characters within Disney were white people. And so the epitome of masculinity as a kid was a so-called white man. The epitome of beauty and femininity was the so-called white woman. And looking back on it and having a chance to reflect as an adult, those were actually the good old days of Disney, when there were white characters all over the screen. All you saw was a white cast within cartoons. Those were actually the good old days. Because I would much rather have an all-white cast with zero inclusion. I would much rather have that than what Disney's giving us right now. I would much rather have that than a Princess and the Frog.
But you must kiss me. Look, besides being unbelievably handsome, okay, I also happen to come from a fabulously wealthy family. Surely I could offer you some.
I understand your options are limited, but The Princess and the Frog was one of the biggest slaps in the face to the so-called black man and woman in Hollywood. The Princess and the Frog was a straight buffoon buffet. I mean, pick your poison when it comes to that cartoon. First of all, here you are. Disney's been around since 1923. And I believe Princess and the Frog came out in 2009. And so here you are. You have about 86 years where there's no so-called black princess. And so when Disney finally decides to release their first black princess, what do? They make her into a maid. She's a handmaid. and she's working for a little white girl throughout the whole movie. She's the little white girl's playmate growing up, you know, and then when she gets older, she cooks for the little white girl's family and she cleans for the little white girl's family throughout the whole movie. And the prince they give her is a frog. They make her kiss a frog in the movie. That would never happen the other way around. It's never happened the other way around. The very first movie, they decide to give a so-called black little girl, and she's a frog. How insulting is that? I mean, they had her saying stuff like, when I get older, I'm gonna get my very own restaurant one day, and I'm gonna make the best butter biscuits in New Orleans. Zabbity-doo, zabbity-doo. Full of coonery, the whole movie. It was an embarrassment, to say the least. And it's even more embarrassing that people within the black community actually went out and paid for that crap. That's the worst part about it. That set a precedent. That let them know right there that we can put anything out and these people will flock to it because they're so desperate to see themselves on film. They're so thirsty to see themselves on the big screen that we can put anything out there and they'll flock to it. That was a test run. And it's been nothing but coonery and buffoonery since. And so it got me thinking about the different Disney characters, and particularly the different black male characters over the years. And so I pulled up the list of the top 15 black male characters within Disney. And I'm gonna tell you just how sick these people are. And so the first one that popped up is a character, Antonio Madrigal from Encanto. I can't really speak to this character because I never saw this, but I'm gonna go by the description. He's an Afro-Latino boy who's 5 years old. And so I'm guessing he had a minimal role within Hollywood, so I'm not even gonna count him. Go down the list. Prince Navin, and this is the character that they gave Tiana in the movie. Here we have our very first so-called black princess in Disney in over 86 years, the very first so-called black princess, and they can't even give her a all-out black male character. They gotta make him an exotic looking kind of character, so where you can't even tell what ethnicity he is. To me, he looks more Caucasian than he does black. Some might call him Creole, but like I said, to me, he looks more Caucasian than he looks black. And so your first black Disney princess, they can't even give her a all-out black male prince co-star to go along with that. And then on top of that, they made him into a frog. That's how sick and demented these people are. And here we go. We got Frozone from The Incredibles. You know, I don't know too much about this character. I know it's played by Samuel L. Jackson. He might be an okay character, so I'm not gonna say too much about it because I don't know too much about the character. Maybe somebody can help me out in the chat. But Joe Gardner, this one I actually did see. And this is actually Disney Pixar's first African-American protagonist. And I believe he was played by Jamie Foxx. And this is a music teacher that dies within the first 5 minutes of the movie. And he's pretty much a soul throughout the movie. And so that's Disney's first so-called black protagonist character. That's how they did him. He dies within the first 5 minutes. Dr. Facila from Princess and the Frog. Now this one I definitely had an issue with. They made this character into some kind of evil voodoo villain. And this is actually Disney's first so-called black villain. They made him into some kind of evil voodoo doctor. And throughout the whole movie, he's pretty much scaring the kids with voodoo and tarot cards. Having our children thinking that the spirituality of voodoo is something evil. That was his purpose in the movie. Usabi, I don't know too much about him. And Lieutenant Mathis, Frozen 2, I'm guessing he had a minimal role within the movie. Lilo and Stitch, and I remember him. This character was actually played by Ving Rhames. And his character within the movie is basically just a big scary black man throughout the whole movie. Proud Family. Man, and I definitely got an issue with this show. I did a video on this a while back.
Ooh, Maya, introduce me to your friends.
Nope.
And that's not even half the stuff they got going on in this show. Definitely don't let your kids watch this. And a lot of these characters, like I said, I don't know too much about, so I'm not going to speak on them. Okay, here's one. Yeah, Finn from Star Wars. Y'all remember him. Now, the original Star Wars was cool. They had Billy D. Williams.
You've got a lot of guts coming here. after what you pulled.
I remember watching Billy D. Williams back in the day in Star Wars. That was a cool character. But the Finn character that they came up with in this new Star Wars, they had him pretty much bucking his eyes throughout the whole movie, chasing around a white girl. And he got knocked out in the first Star Wars, and when he woke up, he came back and he regained consciousness. The first thing he said was, Rey! He was pretty much chasing Rey around the whole movie, talking about, Rey!
Oh! Rey! Rey, come on! Rey! Rey! Come on! Where's Rey?
They had him thirsting for this white girl the whole movie. That was his purpose in the movie. The British actor, John Boyega, I think he's all right, but his role in that movie was straight buffoonery. And last but not least, T'Challa from the Black Panther. They giveth and they taketh. They finally give us one good character, a solid character in T'Challa. You know, and of course people will point to the fact that Chadwick Boseman passed away, so they could no longer do Black Panther. But that's bullshit. Do y'all know how many times Superman has been recast? Do y'all know how many times Batman has been recast? Do y'all know how many times Spider-Man has been recast? And nobody batted an eye. Nobody missed the beat. It was no problem. But no, not with Black Panther. They said, no, Chadwick Boseman did such a good job that, you know, we can't see another male playing this character. We're going to have to make the Black Panther a female now. Yeah, we're going to have to change it up. And so my issue is, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all. I would much rather bring back the days where all the characters were white. Because at the end of the day, I can always use my imagination. Our children can always use their imagination. But when you start giving them images of buffoonery and images of a black girl with the so-called white man, what do you think that's going to do? I could see if there was a balance to it, but they don't. They never balance it out. You will never see two leading Disney characters that are so-called black people, a male and a female. You will never see that. And if they are, it's going to be some buffoonery. It's going to be like Proud Family. So at the end of the day, it all falls back to us. We don't have to watch it. Just because they put it out there doesn't mean we have to watch it. Just because it hits the theater and there's nothing else to see, or there's no other cartoons to see or Disney movies to see, doesn't mean we have to watch it. Have your kids watch Coming to America again. They don't have to watch cartoons. Have them watch some movies. Have them watch some wholesome movies. Have them watch a Robert Townsend movie. Have them watch Meteor Man. Have them watch The Last Dragon with Bruce Leroy. Have them watch something that they can be proud of, and you don't have to constantly watch out for the buffoonery and the shucking and jiving. And if they get tired of it, have them watch it again. And if they get tired of it, then have them read a book. Have them use their imagination. Because if not, I don't have to spell it out. You guys already know what the end result is going to be. And so I think that's going to be a good spot to go ahead and end this video. And if you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like button for me. And if you enjoy the content on my channel, make sure you go ahead and subscribe and make sure your notifications are turned on. And as usual, peace and chaos.
How you please me. I think that this might be what I've been dreaming.